Hi everyone, John Hill here from EandM. Today I want to tell you about some of the big changes we have coming in the new CPUs from Siemens this year in 2025. We're going to see some big changes on the 1517 and 1518 CPUs specifically. We look at the slide here, we see we have 100% more program memory in both of those units. Data memory has increased 150% in the 1518 and 500%, actually over 500%, as we'll see in a little bit on the 1517. But one of the big ones that really might catch people off guard is when we start looking at the communications. If you notice on the slide here, we see three different Profinet or Ethernet style of connections. There will no longer be a Profibus on these units at all. So if you're currently using these with the Profibus comms channel being utilized, you will need to prepare for that in your critical spares or with any job changes that you have coming up. Also, we're going to see a new mechanical design on these units, which is going to more closely match some of the other units that we've already seen make this move from a flip-up display to where the display is fully embedded in the CPU itself, and we just have basically a cover that covers that display and some of the buttons for us. So that's going to be just a cosmetic change, if you will, more than anything on that one. But like I said, the memory is going to change on all these units considerably, both in the programming and in the data. We look at the data capabilities. We obviously are greatly increasing what we can do with those data memories in our programs with that huge increase, especially in the 1517. The 1518, I mean, that's a lot of memory for us to use for data now. Program performance is going to go up to 200% in both units, 500% in the 1518, and lots of retained memory as well. So we're going from 768 retained memory kilobytes in both units. Now we're going to have that, huge jump in retained memory for both of those, which is also going to see a lot of program performance. There's some boost modes that I'll show you in another slide. Where we can access some of that. That performance boost, 25% additional performance increase is actually something that we can set up in the configuration of the hardware itself in TIA Portal. And there are some restrictions on that. We have to be at less than 50 degrees C ambient temperature and horizontal mounting only, so we cannot mount that in that vertical position. Also in the communication, when we're taking away that Profibus port, it allows us to put a little different communications capabilities into these units. One of the big ones is this OPC-UA. I see a lot of customers really looking for OPC-UA capabilities now. So that's going to be great for them to be able to utilize that extra performance that we can have there for those faster communications, more communications, whatever we need. And Web API is something that we see increasing constantly as well. With those, both those X1 and X2 ports that are both Profinet capable, those can be set up in ring topologies or line topologies. Depending on the type of communications you're going to do with each of those channels, we get, some different amounts of I/O that we can use, up to that maximum of 1,024 different drops between the two channels combined. Number of blocks, because we have a lot more memory, we've also greatly increased the number of blocks that we can utilize in each controller, up to 40,000 blocks in that 1518, so we can put some pretty significant programs in there. And then the max alarming instances have also increased, so we can alarm on a lot more different types of things with the new controllers. And also we can store those text lists in the controller itself and use it up to 3 different languages and a lot of different motion resources. So if you're doing complex motion with the S7-1500 family, that 1517 and 1518 have really increased the capabilities as far as the number of axes they can do, the types of control that they can do, because we have those motion resources greatly expanded for those technology objects if you're utilizing those. And then lastly, compatibility with the new firmware. The new products are going to be with that firmware 4.0. You will need a TIA Portal version 20 for this, which was released in late 2024, around that November, December 1st timeframe. And if you're going to replace any existing units and you are using that Profibus channel on the existing units, you will need to look at a new comms module, depending on which one you want to utilize for that new installation. And there also will be some changes as far as how you need to go about, we won't have that drop-in compatibility anymore, which is kind of something that Siemens prides themselves on. But when they make this size of a change, it changes the hardware. And so we don't have that drop-in compatibility anymore, but it is a simple change in TIA Portal to get that program compliant and ready to go in the new firmware 4.0 units. And throughout this next year, with 2025, there will be some parallel delivery of these. So you will have those firmware 3.1 units still available. But beginning through the year, we'll see more and more of those firmware 4.0 units shipping. And it is a part number change. If you kind of look on here in that middle section where you see that 1 0 instead of a 0 0 or a 0 1, depending on what units we're looking at. That's how you can kind of tell the difference. So if you're looking to order a new one and get the 1518-3 instead of a -4, or same with the 1517-3, either one of those are going to be new product numbers. So take a look for those. If you have any questions about this new hardware or looking to order it, give us a call on the West Coast at EandM. And if you're not on the West Coast, reach out to your local Siemens distributor. Thank you.